Hello again, what is up guys? MTG Tournament Grinder here. So this is actually one of the rounds of Swiss from that modern PPTQ that I posted the quarters, semis, and finals from recently. Merfolk versus Jeskai. I think on paper this is a relatively fair matchup. Merfolk is a super good aggro deck, and Jeskai, whether it's Jeskai Control or Jeskai Tempo, it'll have playsets of Path to Exile, Lightning Bolt, Lightning Helix, so it should be able to deal with whatever Merfolk throws out. But this is a very strong start for Merfolk. Turn 1 Vial, and followed by a Cavern. It's going to be really hard to counter anything, essentially. Oof, 2 good cards. Yep. So, A+, as far as potential starts for a Merfolk player go. I'm loving the playmat for the Jeskai player. Snapcaster Mage looks so cool, all blown up like that. Shocking and a Hollowed Fountain, so he must have a 2-drop, I imagine, or 2 1-drops that he wants to cast. And Curse Catcher is going to make it hard to resolve whatever spells he's trying to cast. Maybe with Curse Catcher on the stack was the right time to play any instants or sorceries. Or instants, rather. No sorceries on the stack. So not missing any land drops. Let's see. Kira. Oof. So Kira says, essentially, counter the first spell that targets any of your creatures each turn. Yeah, it seems good. But unfortunately, Curse Catcher's there. That was the right time to do it, with Kira on the stack. At least now there's only 1 defense shield in the form of Kira, and not 2 layers of defense. Kira plus Curse Catcher. That would be really tough. Nice. I love that land. It costs itself and 4 others, including 1 blue and 1 white. This is the Celestial Colonnade I'm talking about. But when you activate it, it turns into a 4/4 flyer with Vigilance. So you can even like tap out to activate it, swing, and still be holding up Opt or Path or something like that. So far it looks like Merfolk is going pretty uninterrupted. There's a large disparagement in life total. But Jeskai could just be waiting to hit that 4th land drop to play Supreme Verdict. Destroy all creatures. That'd be really good. I know I've seen Settle the Wreckage, at least post-board, from this deck in the past. Ooh, looks like there's no Supreme Verdict. And just a value Merfolk Trickster. No targets, just beats, it looks like. That card is so good, Merfolk Trickster, especially through the Vial. It's a really big boost for this deck, and I'm kind of jealous. I want Affinity to get a big boost. It's fallen out of favor, or rather, it's just not good in the meta right now, and so I want it to get a boost. But whenever I say that out loud at the LGS, people say Affinity doesn't need a boost, and they're probably right. But this is a pretty scary board. Oh, there's the Lord. Yep. I was just counting it up and it was almost lethal, and I'm pretty sure it's lethal now. Yeesh. Kira's bubble has countered the Helix. But Snapcaster is still a good blocker. So if he blocks the most powerful thing... is it still lethal? I think it's really close, but not quite. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, take 8. Yeesh. So maybe if he draws a Supreme Verdict, he could stabilize, but I don't think so. Yeah. On to game 2. Well, that was the end of game 1. And it seemed like a really strong draw for the Merfolk player. and a well-played game from both players. Very well played. But as far as the sideboard goes, I think Merfolk, if they have any copies of Dispel or Negate, they're going to want to bring in any sort of counterspells that they might have. Counterspells are particularly relevant in this matchup, because you want to protect your Merfolk from all the lightning helixes, lightning bolts, Path to Exiles, just all that nasty targeted removal that Jeskai's got waiting. It's also a possibility that there is a Relic of Progenitus or a Grafdigger's Cage in this Merfolk sideboard, and I think it might be worth bringing in one copy of either one of those cards. I wouldn't do anything crazy like bring in 3 Relic of Progenitus, but I think it's good enough to warrant bringing in one, just in case you draw it. Snapcaster Mage is a lot less powerful if you can curtail his graveyard or even exile the entire thing. And last but certainly not least, if he has any copies of Chalice of the Void, I think that would be an excellent addition for this matchup. If you cast it on 1, it turns off Lightning Bolt, Path to Exile, Opt, Serum Visions, probably even more than I can think of off the top of my head. But you don't really want to cast it on 2. Even though it might be detrimental to the Jeskai player, it pretty much turns off your whole deck as a Merfolk player. So Chalice on 1 I think is good, Chalice on 2 not so much. Now, for the Jeskai player, if he has any copies of Spell Snare, that's counter target spell with CMC of 2, exactly 2, that would be an excellent addition, because that hits all the lords, pretty much all the meat and potatoes of this Merfolk deck. And if he has any extra Supreme Verdicts, or even something like Settle the Wreckage, those would be really good to bring in here. I've been seeing a lot of people playing Settle the Wreckage in Modern. It's kind of taken off in popularity, and for good reason. Exile all attacking creatures target player controls, and that player searches up a basic land for each creature exiled this way. So it's like a mass Path to Exile, essentially. So if he's got it, I think another great card here is Gideon Jura. His +2 that says something like, until your next turn, creatures your opponents control must attack Gideon Jura if able. That can really save you in a pinch. And his -2 is also pretty good, destroy target tapped creature. And for 0, he can become a 6/6 with Indestructible, who's just a really good attacker, which can help you close out this kind of creature-based matchup. If this summary was too brief, I apologize. Again, I don't have the exact sideboards, but if there's something crucial I left out, let me know in the comments below. And with that, let's go ahead and jump back into Game 2 and see how this goes. Hello again. We are back with Game 2. Merfolk had a really strong draw in the first game, with the turn 1 Aether Vial and whatnot, so we'll see how this game goes. Not quite as strong as the turn 1 Aether Vial, but an early Curse Catcher applies a certain kind of pressure that is actually really handy in this matchup. So again, not a bad start. Scalding Tarn pass. So that could mean a lot of things. Scalding Tarn could fetch up any one of this player's 3 colors, white, red, or blue. So it's kind of an ambiguous couple of lands. It could mean anything. Waiting for his second main phase to play his land per turn. Kind of mind games, like, am I going to miss my land drop? And Aether Vial's still good on turn 2. Not as good as it would be on turn 1, but... So speaking of those ambiguous lands, we're about to see what he had in store. Logic Knot. That makes sense. And actually that makes sense too, to sacrifice the Curse Catcher to go ahead and counter that. I mean, you had to get the Curse Catcher out of the way at some point, as the Jeskai player, so throwing a Logic Knot under the wheels is not so bad, all things considered. I would rather pitch a Logic Knot than a Path to Exile, or Lightning Helix, or something like that. So I think that was smart from both players. A good play all around. 3-drop. Yeah, Kira the Great Glass Spinner. There aren't many 3-drops in Merfolk. So essentially, that card says creatures he controls counter the first spell that targets his creatures each turn. Of course, it says it more eloquently and more succinctly than that. But all of his creatures have a bubble, the Kira bubble. So it's really good against this deck, where most of the deck is just spot removal. I mean, we saw it in Game 1. We saw how good it could be. Plays Field of Ruin, and then picks up and reads Mutavault. I have a feeling that's his plan. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, whether he's taking 2 damage per turn or 4 damage per turn makes a big difference. This is an interesting judge call. Oh, okay. So because Kira gives that bubble I was talking about, protects all of his creatures, he's wondering if he activates the Mutavault in response to the Field of Ruin, will it have the bubble? Will it be protected by Kira? Here's the answer right here. The judge could explain it better than I could.
Is already targeting it, so if you activate it and turn into a creature in response, that line that says whenever it becomes the target isn't going to trigger because it's not becoming the target, it's already a target. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't know how to explain it, but that makes a lot of sense. It was already targeted before he activated it to be a creature, so therefore it does not become protected by the Kira. Each player searches up a basic. A Mutavault is a lot better than a basic for Merfolk in this particular board state. And a Plains is pretty sweet for a Jeskai player, so that was good. Cavern of Souls. So it's going to be hard to counter things with this Aether Vial and Cavern. But if this is the clock that the Merfolk player is presenting, 2 damage per turn, the Jeskai player is going to get a lot of draws. Gosh, even more now. Lightning Helix to face, so it's 17 all. 2 damage per turn, the Jeskai player will have plenty of time to draw into something. Engineered Explosives on 3. That is one way to handle Akira, the Great Glass Spinner. 5 mana and a 1-for-1. It's a big investment, but until you get rid of that Kira, you're going to have a hard time getting rid of literally anything else. And there were all the creatures. Makes sense now. The Merfolk player was just holding creatures in hand, playing around counterspells, I assume, because the Jeskai player had so much mana untapped. But as soon as he tapped out to do the EE, the Engineered Explosives play, he was like, let him rip. Here comes the Merfolk, baby. Oh my goodness, that's backbreaking. Another Kira. So, a Supreme Verdict is looking particularly good, just like it was in the first game. Supreme Verdict, Settle the Wreckage, Wrath of God. I think Wrath of God is probably a little less likely. I'm not sure how much that gets played. Oh, he does have a Settle. Excellent. Wow, Deprive. What a good top deck. Because he was top decking. The card in his hand is the island he had to return. But man, that's a good top deck. Especially with this board state. Just to sit on a Deprive and protect this board state is pretty sweet. So take 7, goes from 12 to 5. That probably got this game. Unless he draws immediately into another board wipe. Then he might stabilize. Could easily stabilize, actually. Start going Lightning Helix, Snapcaster, Lightning Helix, that kind of thing. But he's going to have to start doing it like right now. Like board wipe and then start stabilizing. So 5 mana, that's... I see, Teferi. So, Tuck the Lord, and then no, he still takes 4. I'm not sure. Draw a card, and then hope that he draws removal spells with Kira. Well, yeah, turns out that was that. Well, I think we saw 2 really good games from Merfolk here. And as usual, if you guys enjoy content like this, you can let me know in the comments below or by hitting that subscribe button. So thanks for listening. I'll see you guys next time.